Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of College and Career Pathways, where every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2 p.m. we provide you with information on various colleges and universities, financial aid resources, training programs, technical schools, skilled trade professions, career opportunities, uh, career exploration, and career readiness skills, all designed to help you make the best career decisions possible. I'm Tony Curitin, your host, and today we are beginning our financial literacy series. I'm really excited about this because as a high school student getting ready to embark on your own life in college, and you're going to be on your own, there are various um, household finance information and resources that you need to help you as an adult person. And I'm really glad to have Colleen here today. She's going to be giving our presentation. Colleen is from the Michigan Government and Schools Credit Union. Did I say that correctly, Colleen?
Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union.
I always reverse that. Well, thank you so much for being here. We're so glad to have you.
All right, thank you so much. I'm definitely happy to be here. I've worked with the students before. My full-time job is just going into groups and teaching financial literacy, all kinds of different aspects. Today, we're going to be looking at the kind of grand choice of, so now high school's over, now what? College, work. So I have a short video to start, and it's a little silly, but let me make sure to share sound and optimize for sound. Okay. And we're going to go over some of this stuff. It's just an introduction here.
Good morning, adventurers. My name is Raymond, and I will be your nature guide today. Do you have any questions?
Are there bears in these woods?
I do not know.
What's the history of this trail?
Anybody else?
What should I do after high school?
Yes, love it. Let's talk it out. It's not just about what you'll be doing next fall. You're choosing a path for your entire future.
Yikes.
One option is to further your education. That can mean college, university, trade school, online courses, apprenticeships, workshops, or anything in between. Further education feels like a logical next step, and in general, it does give you access to higher paying jobs.
Great. College it is.
But degrees can be pricey. When you factor in tuition, student loans, and interest, you're looking at a major debt decision that you'll likely be paying for long after you've graduated.
But going to school will allow me to make more money in the long run, so it balances out, right?
Possibly, but it's more than just an economic comparison. You have to consider the time investment and the dedication required. It means asking yourself if you're motivated enough by the outcome to give years of your life toward education.
When you put it that way, I'm not so sure.
Another option is to work after high school and start making money right away. Without tuition or student loans to pay for, your money can go toward other experiences and savings goals.
That sounds kinda cool.
It gives you real exposure to an industry and can help you discover whether or not it's something you're truly passionate about. You can pick up some practical skills, and your work experience may even lead to future employment opportunities. But work experience can only take you so far. Depending on the industry, you may need formal education or other training to advance beyond a certain point.
Well, now I feel even more lost.
Look, you may think your path needs to look something like this, but it'll probably end up looking more like this. And every path has obstacles. A fear of failure, a lack of direction, the expectations of family and friends, financial stress.
Can't I just avoid them?
Not entirely, but if you're well equipped, you won't lose your footing. Getting to know yourself is a good start. What are your strengths and limitations? What do you want out of life? Next, Feed your curiosity. What careers are you interested in, and how can you really explore those areas? Then, design a path that gives you both flexibility to adapt and the opportunity to explore. A career counselor or coach can be a helpful guide.
That makes sense. Thanks.
Of course. Any other questions?
Yeah. Is this nature hike still on? Because everybody's gone.
Ugh, not again. This always happens.
What kind of trees are these?
I have no idea.
All right, so that is a kind of quick overview of a lot of the basics. My favorites is where he says, let's for where I have the presentation here. My favorite is where he says, you think it's going to be in a straight line, and it's nowhere near a straight line. That seems really common. You know what you're supposed to do. You know where you're supposed to go. You're just supposed to follow this track, and it's supposed to be in this one direction. And it can go in so many different ways, and we'll look at that as well. Can you see the tuition tracker screen that I have? So this site I found just preparing for this. It's separate, but it's tuitiontracker.org, and it'll give you, for instance, let's put in maybe Wayne State. Oops, Wayne. So it says, oh, there's Wayne State University, and it shows, well, the sticker price is $29,554. And you'll hear about this when you hear student loans and financial aid, sticker price and net price. Similarly, when you buy a car, you don't necessarily pay the sticker price. You say, can you throw in some roof work? Can you throw in an extra wax on it and give me some percentage off? So I'm just showing this. If you wanted to go search through various colleges all over the country, it has information of the historical trends. You can change your family income up here. So it's just to give you an idea. Okay, so there we. Can you see the common obstacles? Is that?
No, your screen.
Oh,
is-
it's on common obstacles. Okay, yes, sorry. So common obstacles. Fear of failure. That is such a big one where it's just so hard to make a choice because you don't want to make the wrong one. You know, I feel like I have to go to school. I feel like I have to start work. I'm not going to do it right. In the same way that it's not a straight line to the top, you have to be okay with the fact that you're gonna fail a couple times. You're gonna stumble. You're gonna learn. You're gonna realize, how to work with different types of professors, different kinds of bosses, how to shop and organize, your own life, how to study, how to be more responsible. So you're going to make some stumbles along the way. You can't think about the fact I'm never going to fail. You hear it in all the movies. You've got to pick yourself up. You've got to learn something from it. You go into one thing. My fiance's brother went to college to be a teacher, a history teacher, and he went all the way through student teaching, got his teaching certification, and said, I don't like this. This really isn't for me. And then he went to law school, and now he's a lawyer. That's perfectly fine. When I was in college, my thinking was there's no option to change my mind. Like, this is what I picked. And you're sticking with what you picked because this is what you picked. And don't keep that mentality. If you realize, hopefully sooner than when you're actually certified, you may want to go in a different direction. Don't feel paralyzed by making a choice and having to stick with it for the rest of your life. Common obstacles, lack of direction. And this is where I would have a poll question in here saying, how many people feel like they know what career they're going into? I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to be a pilot. And I would guess it's usually half and half about the time. When I was young, I wanted to be a teacher. Technically, I wanted to be a teacher and a writer and hairstylist, but eventually I knew I would be a teacher. I wanted to be a history teacher. I needed to have a minor, so I got a minor in French. When it came time to get teaching jobs, I couldn't find any history jobs, so I found some French jobs. Then after working for a few years in French, then I got laid off and I found the job I have now, teaching personal finance. So what I thought of in my head, what my direction was to teach history, that's not where I'm at, but I'm happy with that. I'm fine with that. Don't get paralyzed again. I'm going to be an engineer and I'm going to work for a big company. I'm going to be in marketing. Each industry has so many different directions. Teaching, you can teach, out of a credit union. You can teach, very, very young, special needs. You can teach adults, ESL. There's so many different ways. Someone says, I'm going to be a lawyer. Are you going to be a, immigration lawyer, a pro bono lawyer, or are you in it to get like the most money possible? I just want to be a high paid lawyer. Think of your direction like the video showed. It's going to move. It's going to change. And I will say, if you feel you have a bit of a lack of direction, and especially, external expectations, if you feel like you are being told, well, you're going to be a teacher because that's what the rest of us are, or you're going to be a doctor because that's what the rest of us are, or that's what we've always expected. If you aren't convinced, like really convinced, like I believe I'm going to be a teacher and I will work hard for the classes I take. If I'm not convinced and I'm like, I'm going to school to be a teacher, but it's not really what I want, I'm really kind of, I don't want to say wasting my time, but I'm not focusing on things that will really help me move forward. Financial stress. I know people who take 5, 6, 7 years to get their undergraduate degree. Again, that's okay. But if you had maybe waited and said, I know what I'm going to do, I know which direction I'm going to go in, had a lot more counseling before, I'm just going to take more general ed. I'm going to take more general ed. I'm not really sure. And they kind of just stay in college or stay as a part-time student as almost like a crutch to like keep themselves from going out into the real world, so to speak. Don't feel like financial stress. Oh, this is where I was getting into the lawyer. I apologize. If you're thinking, I got to make a job, I got to have a job with money. I can't be a teacher because they don't make money. I can't be a police officer because they don't make money. Don't think of it that way. I was saying a lawyer, oh, I'm going to be a lawyer because I'm going to, be Jeffrey Feiger, and I'm going to have this huge, firm and have giant houses. But again, you could also be the small, defense lawyer working for, low income. You could be a teacher making a very, very small salary at a small, charter school, or you could be a superintendent of a district or a state. So the level of how much you'll make isn't defined by the name of the career itself. I mean, think makeup artist. How much does a makeup artist make? Well, is it a makeup artist, that has a, they're in the mall, they're in the hair shop and they'll do some makeup? Is it someone who has their own, business that they travel around? Is it someone who becomes, the makeup artist to the stars and they're, getting tens of thousands of dollars? all of those things are possible. So to say, well, I'm not going to be a makeup artist just because it's not going to make money. If that's what you really feel, if that's what you think would make you happy, don't consider I'm not going to make money at it as the most important part. I also have that's okay. We'll just keep going through here. So finding your way. So how do you know? How do you know? How do you know what you want to do? And that's a super valid question. How do I know what I'm good at? How do I know what I want to do? How do I make a choice that's going to last 20, 30 years, 40 years? My parents' generation, my grandparents' generation, you get a job and you stick with it. My father worked for Pepsi Cola for 30 years. My uncle worked for Ford for 30 years. Another family member worked for Maytag for 30 years. That was just the standard, is you found a nice, comfortable company and you stayed there. Today, it's a lot more fast moving. You see, especially with young people, trying out a job, moving on, moving to different places, feeling more of a tie to see the world, so to speak, instead of settle on one specific company. I always thought how great it would be. Oh, how great it would be to be hired by one company and I could stay there the rest of my life, because that would be so safe. And it would. That's perfect if that's what you like to do and you want to stay there years and years and years and years. But don't think the first job you get or the first career job you get is where you're necessarily going to stay for 10 years or 5 years or however long. See how it goes. This job, I said, the personal finance, honestly, I took it until I could find another teaching job because it just had education in the title. It sounded interesting. And this month is my 8th year. So I liked it a lot more than I thought. I liked the differences between the classroom, but still being able to educate. I thought it was a great opportunity and I love doing it. What are you good at? What do you like? What are your values? Talking to other people. How did you know you wanted to go in education? How did you know you wanted to go into marketing? What does marketing mean to you? Feed your curiosity. Again, like I said, researching careers of study that you're interested in. A lot of times you might think you're going to do something. I also really wanted to be a vet, but I can't handle the sad parts of being a vet. I really get too emotional of even the shows, and I love My Animal Planet and Nat Geo Wild, but I couldn't handle being a vet. And as much as I love animals, I'm vegetarian, that's a big part of me. It wouldn't fit me. So, what do you like? Would you skateboarding? Okay, you like skateboarding. What can we do that? Entrepreneurship, making videos, photography, a merchandising, skatewear. It doesn't have to be as literal, as it maybe looks on paper. Reach out to other people. People want to help. If you go to your branch bank manager or credit union manager, yeah, can I ask a few questions? Can I come in sometime, talk to you about what a normal day is like? Maybe shadow a family member. See if you can go with a family member to their daycare. It depends on the career that they have or the job that they have. But get a sense of it. It's okay to, for instance, work as a vet tech for 2 years and then realize it's not for you. Try things out, attend workshops, learn more and more about it. You may think accounting and business is the coolest thing. And then once you get into it, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so boring. You may think it's boring and then start looking up, YouTube videos and lectures and the podcasts that other accountants have and say, wow, this is a lot more interesting than I thought it was going to be. Do your research, right? You don't know what you're in for. So feel it out. you know, volunteer at a education. There's a lot of different things, Boys and Girls Club, YMCA, a summer camp, tutoring. There's a lot of ways, even babysitting, that you can get, a little bit of experience without having to, get hired for the specific job. Design your path. Where do you want in 5 years? That's a somewhat easier way to look at it than if we say, okay, what are you doing next fall? What's your choice? What are you doing? Well, it's not so much what you're doing right now. It's where do you want to be later, right? Your life later. You start dating someone and that person says, well, I have no intention of ever getting married. Well, that's a big thing. Do you? Because if this person has no intention of getting married and you do, you're on different paths. So if your path is, I want to be up here, I want to be a manager, I want to, have my own business, I want to follow in the company, my family's company, or take over a company, start kind of backwards. Look at where you'd really like to be, and then start writing the rungs of the ladder. Before I become a doctor, I've obviously got to, go to medical school, go to undergrad, go to science camps, maybe volunteer at the hospital. There's a lot of things you can do in these small bits leading up to the way. Work backwards and compare your options. Just like I said, you want to be a doctor, you want to be a teacher, and work backwards. Be flexible. Right? Nowadays, people are moving out of state all the time. I have so many friends who just, I got a job here and here, and I'm a homebody. I really like to stay in Michigan, but that's other people. They want that, next thing, and what's the next adventure? And now I'm going to move to Boston, and now I'm going to move to Austin, and I got a new opportunity and trying new things. So fear of failure. Know that you're gonna have to keep trying and keep trying. Lack of direction. You don't know what you want the rest of your life to look like right now. You have an idea. You want to shape the person you're going to be later. You want to shape the person that you're going to be in 10, 15 years. How do I become that person? I'm envisioning this person, stylish, business outfit and high heels, and they're holding the clipboard and they're talking to people, and they're just beautiful, and they're standing in front of a whole room of people. Wow, I want that person. How do I become that person? What job does that person have? I have no idea. All they're doing is standing, talking to people. But you're envisioning that brand, that confident, woman speaking to people, just looking put together. Or you envision yourself having a company where you can help others, and you see yourself, wow, I have 20 employees and I'm able to provide for these 20 employees' families, and work backwards from there. It's not just what jobs you want to have, but what kind of person, what kind of citizen do you want to be? Okay, there was one more I wanted to show you. Let me see if it's new share. Oh, here it is. Okay. Where to go? Income essentials. So this shows your career, your income, excuse me. When we're looking at your income, when you're deciding on your future and you're thinking that income is kind of the target in the middle, there's so much that goes into it that's really what you have control over. Your career, what type of, let me see if I can zoom in a little more here. What type of career can determine a salary. Your education can determine a salary. There's some jobs where it's not necessarily going to do you a whole lot of good to have a degree, a 4-year college degree, but an associate's or a certification of that trade is much more valuable, or it's a learn on the job. I have a friend I went to high school with who works in robotics, but he didn't finish college. I have, I lost the other one, but you can have a police academy and go into the police academy. You may decide as you're a police officer, I'd like to get a criminal justice degree. I'd like to move forward. That's possible too. Your skills, again, what are you good at? People call you bossy. Oh, I'm a good project manager. I'm taking notes all the time. I'm writing. I take great meeting minutes. I have a great memory. Language, just the fact that if you're bilingual or polite in another language, or learning another language, and that has nothing to do with necessarily a specific career, just learning another language will help you in any job, right? So how can you improve or work on your specific skill set? And again, looking at the economic trends, what's going on in the world. Right now, things are very green. If you want to go into some sort of environmental, solar, new science, that'll be continuing. Genetic counseling, drone operator. Think of things that are not on the outs, but that are kind of just coming in. Drone operator was not a job. Well, I suppose it was a job, but it wasn't the same job it is now, 20 years ago. A yoga instructor. Someone may have said a yoga instructor 30 years ago, and they're like, "Oh, really, a yoga instructor?" Now you say, "Oh, I'm a yoga instructor, and I have a successful franchise, and it's working out great for me." I'm trying to think of an example, a situation. Someone once told me, a greeting card writer. "Oh, I'll be a greeting card writer because people will always need greeting cards." And I'm like, no, that's not a good one. Your earning potential, it's really a balance. It's between your education, it's between the career you choose, the skills that you can bring to it. You may be able to take your job in a new direction. You may be able to take a new spin. You're a teacher. Just because you're a teacher, you love skateboarding. Well, hey, how about I bring us, after school skateboarding club, or we do a big math project on, trajectory and velocity. Use your skills and use your interests in what you love to do. So I included this sheet that you're looking at right now. I sent to Ms. Curitin, so you have this as a reference if you'd like to print it out or just keep it online. I also sent, where did it go? This one. This handout here. So after grad, work or college, looking at your dream job, how do you define that? What is your dream job? Is it being able to work in the location you've always dreamed of? Is it been able to work with the people you've always dreamed of? What are those specific areas you're really looking for? You want to, wrong direction, I apologize. It engages you, it makes you think, it makes you excited. You have to work hard. Is it that no matter what it is, you have to help people? Again, you can be a lawyer and feel like your whole job day after day is helping those who can't help themselves. You can feel like a doctor and feel like you're helping those. You can feel like really any job. What are you good at? It's supportive. think of an ideal work culture. What role do I have in a team setting? Think of yourself now. When you say in class, what do I represent in the class? Am I, a distractor? Am I a real team player? Do I bring people together? Am I a kind of authority that a lot of people will come to ask questions? What are you either good at or your personality? Personal fulfillment is what fits into your life. Again, like I said with a vet, I would love to be a vet, but it just doesn't fit right. And find something that works for you. And that fear of failure, that where do I start? You're going to start somewhere. I will say it's on here. Oops. The after work or college. I mentioned it in the video. What is college? I mean, what do you define college as? Trade school, associate's degree, 4-year degree, master's degree. Do you intend on the master's degree, or do you intend on getting the associates and maybe seeing how it goes? If you are pretty sure, pretty set, I know I'm going to need a degree. I know I'm going to need a degree in the end at some point. Starting work first and going into the workforce has its benefits, but think of when you're going to go back to school. Think of that realistic timeline. Well, once I get started in my job, once I get started working, am I going to feel like it's so routine? Am I going to be able to stop and go back to school? Am I going to feel like I'm too old? Am I going to feel like, well, now I don't have the money? Going into the workforce before going to school is a valid option, but don't do it. I hate to say laziness, but out of laziness of like, what, I'll go to school later. I'm sure I'll go to school later. I just need, some work and experience. I'll just go later. If you want to go, if you see your future, that person that you're envisioning yourself as has a degree of some sorts, think how you're going to work towards that. And I hate to say, when I was in high school, it was, you went to a 4-year college. I went to Oakland, which not exactly the most fancy school in the world at all, but you don't go to community college, you go to a 4-year college. Now I know so much better. I should have gone to a community college for 2 years. I recommend to everybody, even if you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a lawyer, those first few, those general ed classes of geology and, math, it's for you that you feel like you need to get them at Michigan State or at Oakland because you're going to a university. But what is your diploma going to say? Your diploma is going to say Michigan State. It doesn't say Michigan State for 3 years or for 2 years. It says Michigan State. Nobody cares where you went, for your first couple years. I took classes over the summer. I would take one class summer into, my sophomore year, one class into the summer of my junior year, and it ended up basically being a semester. Start small. Don't jump into a 4-year university if it's you think that's what you need to do. If you look into the course catalog for community college, a few of them, they have them online. You can probably, I don't know if they put them in print anymore. They used to put them in print, but they're probably online now. Scroll through the course catalog. If you're like, well, what do they have on history? They probably just have some, American history and history. Maybe I took a mythology class. I took history of labor in Detroit class. There's all kinds of stuff. There might be a class that really isn't necessarily for your job, but it just sounds really interesting. Geology or mythology or something you wanted to know about. That's experience. that's positive. That'll check a box. Start small. You don't have to start, uh, and jump full force, living away at school right away. It's, I was just talking with my fiance this morning because he went to NYU for grad school. So I was looking up NYU on that tuition tracker, and I was like, oh my God, the sticker price is $78,000 a year, but the net price was like $30,000. But I was just telling him, I'm like, I can't imagine being a parent and spending like 40 grand for a freshman. Like, we all know you're working hard junior, senior year, you're going for the crutch, but that freshman year, you're sleeping in a few classes, you are working, but you're just learning how to be in college. I would be blown away to think of how many tens of thousands of dollars to spend on someone kind of just partying for a year. So if you do know what you want to do, if you do know some things you want to knock out, 100% do it at a community college. You can keep working. You can do both. You likely will be able to transfer everything. I would certainly check first. I wouldn't just take classes for the sake of taking classes. You would definitely talk to an advisor. This is what I'm interested in. I know OCC specifically has transfer programs. There's Oakland Early College where all the goes into the 4-year degree. Depending on your situation at school, if you're able to take an AP test. I only took one AP test, but I got 3 credits. That was one class. That's one whole class. So if one whole class can be saved by, taking an AP class, if scholarships, we're talking about financial need. We're going back to, things that may hold you back. Apply for everything. Apply for every student loan, or not student loan, excuse me. Scholarship. Don't apply for all the student loans. If you see any opportunity, for instance, MSGCU, we give away 65 or so different scholarships a year. And when I first started working there, they were $1,500 each. And then we had some others that were $500 each. And honestly, my attitude was like, this is so stupid. Why are we doing this? Who's going to go through all this work for $500? Like, I wouldn't fill out all this stuff for $1,500. Wrong, admitting you're wrong. Filling out all that stuff, at this point, you should really have a binder. You've had to get your transcript before. You've had to get letters of recommendation before. You've had to write a college essay before. You should have all that stuff. It's all right here, because you're going to be applying to multiple scholarships. Just keep it all together in one binder. Yep, here's the reference letter. Here's the transcript. I got copies of all this stuff. And don't think of it as saving $500 or as saving $2,500, because that's what I was thinking. I was thinking short term, only saving $1,500 now it's not really worth it. But if I have to borrow that $1,500 now, it's sitting for 4 years while I'm in school, gaining interest. I start to pay it back after I graduate, and depends on the interest. It's already more than $1,500. And by the time I pay off that $1,500, years and years go by, it's a lot more than $1,500. So you're not saving yourself just that. You're saving yourself all the interest and the potentially thousands of dollars. Anytime you defer your student loans, or you can prove you're on unemployment hardship, and you cannot make payments, or you have a situation where you can make $0 payments, your interest is still piling up. Your interest is still adding on. So any money you can take off in the beginning, right off the bat, saves you so much more in the end. I hope that makes sense. Once I kind of figured that out, I was like, I feel like I got to tell everybody. Maybe other people thought I was a little behind, but yeah, anything. And there's scholarships for everything. I'm sure you've heard that before. If you're left-handed, if you have red hair, if you're Irish, really just search around, because they're not all for the top student. And sometimes that can feel really defeating, of just seeing the same name over and over again, winning, a new award, winning a new scholarship. There's other ones. There's ones that, for instance, if you like cycling or bicycle, I think there was one, a cycling store or cycling company, sponsors their own scholarship. Really look for things you're interested in anyway. I see there's been a bunch in the chat. I have not really looked at the scholarships. Okay. Thank you. Any recommendations for a scholarship website? Well, I would be happy to show you the msgcuscholarships.org. However, the deadline was March 5th, so you can't apply anymore. But I would say your credit unions, any credit union bank, you don't have to necessarily be, you do not have to be a member of our credit union to apply. And I'm almost positive that's the case for any other credit union that also does scholarships. And yes, you do have to become a member if you win the scholarship, but what are the requirements? A $5 savings account. Put $5 in a savings account, and that's it. Just let it there. Just let it sit there, and you get your scholarship. But you don't have to go open accounts all over, in the meantime. Nope, you can kind of, March, May, scholarship season, sticker price is the projected cost. Yes, projected cost after grants and scholarships. And, sometimes the school will give you I guess it would be a grant of, we see your family situation, so we're going to knock it down here. Or you may have gotten money for a grant that specifically only goes to room and board, or only goes to tuition, but you still have to pay for room and board. So don't get too freaked out by the sticker shock, but tens of thousands of dollars a year times interest times many years. I mean, I'm still paying my student loans. I'm not very close to paying them off, honestly, and it's been at least 10 years. I don't regret going to school. It's because I have a master's degree that I have my job, but I also have a lot of money to pay back. And if I had thought things through a little differently when I was younger, I would be in a better situation than I am right now. And that's why I say you're gonna fail. You're gonna, put too many things on the credit card. You're gonna co-sign for something. You're going to drop a class after the point where you can get your refund back for the class. Please don't do that, but it might happen. You pay when you apply for FAFSA. No, you do not pay to fill out the FAFSA. The FAFSA is literally an application. It's kind of sending a snapshot of yourself. This is what I do. This is what I have. This is what I need. This is what my family has. It's different for each family, whether it's a step parent or, two step families, or if you are getting those student loans under your name versus your parents applying for student loans is very different. How much they will allow you, they're not going to loan you as an 18-year-old and just say, here's $30,000, put it towards college. They're not going to do that. Not the application, the loans afterwards. When you get a scholarship, the winnings, the funds of that scholarship will go directly to the school. Most of the times, I'm sure there's exceptions in the rule, but they usually do not provide you the money. So if you ever hear, and this is in the scams presentation, oh, you won, we're so proud of you, please send us your bank information, we'll deposit the money into your account in 72 hours. No scholarship is giving you the money. Call them, say thank you, let me call you back. They're going to present it to the school, to the program. And the loans, you'll get a letter that says you were we're going to offer you this, right? Well, we're willing to offer you $20,000 in loans, $5,000 in grants. You need to then decide, well, where am I going to school? Okay, I'm going to Oakland University. I'm starting on this date. So send, not you personally, but Department of Education, send that money to Oakland University. You don't send it to me and then I pay the school. It goes right to the school. Money that I may receive in my hand from filling out the FAFSA is, they'll call it a refund. Let's say they offer you $20,000. You are able to borrow $20,000 a year. And you do all the math and you find out your net price for a year of college is, $17,000. And you were like, oh man, that means they're going to pay the school $17,000 and they're going to give me the $3,000 extra, which they will do. And that sounds great. But back it up. Again, I said, be careful letting $500 go because it's going to add up. If you take $3,000 or however many $1,000s that you don't need or isn't a need as part of the education, that's a loan, that's interest, that's just piling up for the rest of your life. You can turn it down. You can say, no, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to take my $17,000 worth of loans and kind of stop it there. You could accept the money and say, you know what, I'm going into, a nursing program and I'm really going to devote myself. I'm really going to be, studying all the time. When I was student teaching and you worked at school all day long and then you had classes at night and you had to pay them instead of getting paid. So it can be very difficult to work sometimes. So accepting some money to live off of has potential. These are the things you really got to think through and talk to other people. And what do you think might happen? What are the various scenarios? Nothing's going to happen exactly the way you think it's going to play out. Does that help? What do you do with the extra money that you get? The intention, the extra money you get is either to live off of, to support yourself while you're going to school, or to purchase items that you need. I'm going to need to buy, a new laptop because I'm going to be a graphic designer. I'm going to need to buy, I'm a musician, instruments or these technology, these programs, or these expensive software and programs you got to get, or a special camera. So books, oh my gosh, books, definitely books. Books are so expensive. Try to find the cheapest books possible. Yeah, so things like that, you can put, exactly. You can put it aside and say at some point, maybe by my senior year or so, you're not going to need loans every single year. Maybe you need loans this year, but you're going to try to work all summer for next year. It's your own personal situation, right? Let me see. Any other questions, recommendations? Any other questions?
Wait, sorry. So when you get the money, is it gonna save up into a loan, like you said, like afterwards?
The refund, the extra money, that is included in the total loan. So in the example I used where you took out a $20,000 loan, 17 of it went to school and 3 of it went to you. In the end, when you graduate and you get that letter that says, it's been 6 months, we are ready for your first official payment. Here is your balance. Here is the interest rate. Here is what we expect as your payment. And a lot of times that payment is very, very high, and you are expected to make that payment consistently. So it's of the whole $20,000. It doesn't treat them separately of 3 and 17. If you see that number and it says pay $800 a month and you go, oh my God, that's not possible. How do I do that? There's no way. Call, be proactive, talking to people, asking questions. being proactive in all of these situations will help you so much better than avoiding and fixing after the fact. If you avoid paying your student loans, you move, you think they're not going to notice, none of those things will end well. Call, hey, I got laid off from my job. Is there an unemployment hardship I can apply for? Can I be on an income-based repayment where I send you my taxes once a year, I show you what I make, and then you say, we feel you're willing to, or you should be able to pay this much based on your income. Or you could be on a graduated plan where you pay a little bit now and then a little bit more and a little bit more. So it's flexible in how you pay it back. But I believe if your question was what happens to that money, you can, if you hold on to it and don't spend it, it's probably going to end up costing you, it's going to cost you more money to pay it back than you'll earn on it just sitting there. So if you really feel a need, if you thought about it and you say, I feel I need hypothetically that $3,000 for these purchases, for these reasons, and it makes sense for me to pay that money back later, then that's a great opportunity you have in front of you. If it's you just want extra money, it's just nice, it's just great, it could really help, it's going to cost you so much more than that $3,000 in the end. And what if you do that year after year after year, freshman year, sophomore year, junior year? I mean, now we're talking $12,000. It wasn't even for school. So it's a lot to think about. And there's a lot of information here, and try not to think of anything as a wrong decision. You know, everything can be come back from, everything can be bettered. You know, everyone makes mistakes, everyone tries something. I've dropped classes before. You just got to try things out. You got to see what works for you personally.
Yeah, I have a couple friends who got, you know, the money, like the 3,000, like you said, and they used it on their personal needs, not like on school stuff. Is that like gonna be on them? Because they told me like, oh yeah, they'll give you like extra money for yourself. I'm like, they don't do that.
And if so, listening to your friends or just hearing, oh, they give you extra money and now I have this extra money, that's not the whole story, right? You know, that's not the whole story. And it's possible, yeah, it's possible to just keep it and use it for your own needs. And I mean, that's why they're offering it to you. But you're hearing this now, you know, you're in this, you know, program so that you think farther than that, you know, so you don't take it face value. Oh, the government, I'm borrowing money from the government, but they're also just giving me money at the same time. You know, why are they giving me that money? It's part of the loan. Whether it's a subsidized loan or unsubsidized, you know, all of those things matter. So when you fill out the FAFSA and you put out every piece of information, you know, on you, it seems, and they respond back, you can accept it, you can negotiate, you don't have to take exactly as is. You can say, I've decided to start at a community school for a few years, so I'm going to take just the minimum, or not the minimum, but excuse me, just the education for school, and then maybe later on when I go to live in the dorms or live on my own my junior senior year, then maybe I'll accept, you know, that kind of extra money. But it is not extra money, it is not bonus money, it is not free money, it is not any of those things. And you should go tell them that.
Yeah, I will. Not to waste on their own needs.
Colleen, I want to jump in for a minute.
Please.
With regards, because I want to say, with regards to students taking out loans, you have to remember that student loans never, ever, ever go away, ever. There is no circumstance with which you can default on that loan payment and the government will be all right with it and write it off and forgive it like maybe a credit card debt. Even if you file bankruptcy federal loans never go away. They will always be there. They will always be due. You will always have to pay them. And it can also hinder you from purchasing a home later on in your professional life. So you really want to utilize loans as a last resort. And you also need to understand the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized loans, because unsubsidized loans, when you apply for them, your payment or your repayment begins almost immediately, because it's a loan through a financial institution like a bank or a credit union. And so you want to be mindful of which, if you have to make the decision to take out a federal loan, you want to distinguish which ones you get and which ones you don't. So with regards to loans, there is no extra money. It's
You're-
money.
You're
that's owed.
absolutely right. And I can't believe I forgot to mention that. I usually do. Yeah. Every bill should be paid on time, but the attitude of, so I have bad credit, like, so the late credit card bill ruins my credit. Well, it goes both ways. If you have poor credit, you're not going to be able to get the financial aid loan. And if you have the financial, and if you receive the loan and now you can't pay for it, it's going to destroy your credit. It's going to keep you, and we're going to get into credit and other stuff later. But yeah, a lot of student loans are 30-year loans. I mean, that's a mortgage. That's a house. If you take out a 10-year student loan, you could be paying $700-800 a month. Really look at the big picture, because you are thinking of it in small terms. I'm only taking 3,000. I'm only taking 3,000. I'm only taking 3,000. Well, add up, and then add interest to it. If you're paying back $70,000, $80,000, that's a lot of money. And you have to make a payment every month. And if you don't make that payment, you have to have that proactive behavior of, what can I do? What can be changed? What paperwork can I file so that it doesn't count as a delinquent account? Because they will garnish your wages. They will garnish your tax refund. They will get their money, definitely. Was there anything else? Question?
Yeah, I was gonna say, for example, if we say we have extra money left, can we use that and then like save it for the loan? Like let them pay for the loan?
In theory, as an option, you could say, you know what, let me have that $3,000 now, and I'm just going to put it in a savings account here. I'm not going to spend it. I'm just going to put it here, so that when it comes time to start paying the loan back, I'll use that 3,000. Is that what you're saying?
Okay, so can we do that?
You can, but think about it like this.
Uh-huh.
While that 3,000 is sitting there,
Yes.
right? You have to have self-control.
Yes.
You literally can't spend it. You can say to yourself you're not going to, but you literally can't spend it. B, you can have it sitting in a savings account. You can even put it somewhere where you can't touch it. And it might earn interest. Less than 1%. I'd probably guarantee any savings account you put it in, it's going to earn less than 1% interest.
Okay.
Whereas if you don't take it, if you say, no, thank you, I'll just take the 17, the amount of interest that your $3,000 would have accrued, 4%, 6%, 7%, 4% a year times 4 years. So now you have 3,000 to start paying it back, but you owe more than 3,000, to start with. Because if it was a straight shot, that might make sense. But by just sitting there, you're losing money. Does that make sense? Because
Yeah.
getting more and more expensive with the interest
Yes.
as the years go on. So it financially doesn't really work. It's
Okay.
possible. And you know what? If you think about it and you say, I'm gonna try that. You know what? I'm gonna take 1,000 and I'm gonna put it aside because I want to be positive that no matter what job I have, that first year, I can make payments. If you have a thought out reasoning process, but look at the finances. That sounds good on paper, but you're gonna actually lose money that way.
Okay. So when they ask us, do you want the extra money? Say keep it, and then they're gonna save it, right?
I would say do not take it, do not accept it.
Mm-hmm.
Say no, thank you.
Okay.
Again, I don't know everyone's personal situation. There are reasons why that would be beneficial, but it's part of the loan. It gains interest right away. So if it's just kind of so you have extra spending money, no. I would say either, I'm just gonna say no.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Jurgensen, anything else you wanted to mention or me to bring up?
No, I'm good. You guys have any questions?
No,
Yeah, well,
thank you. That was so helpful today. It was very helpful. Thank you.
excellent. All right, well, great. And like I said, you have those handouts. And I will see you next week, next Monday, probably.
Actually, you will see us on Wednesday.
Wednesday for
checking accounts.
Yes.
So thank you everyone for attending. And I know this information was really helpful to everyone. And I wish you all a good afternoon. Well, that's all we have for today. I want to thank everyone for joining us on College and Career Pathways. And we will see you next Wednesday for checking accounts. We will be discussing how to open up a checking account, understanding the process of a checking account and how it will work for you. Thanks so much. Well, that's all we have for today. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us on College and Career Pathways. Again, my name is Toni Curitan. If you have any questions, if you would like some resources, information, direction, please give me a call. My number's 586-842-0558. My email address is tonic@ats.edu.net. Thanks again, everyone, and have a great day.